Jam on toast!
Hi everybody, we're here today to talk about God Bless America. This is a Phil Defranco movie club review, so let's get to it. The short sale on this one is that a guy has the worst day of his life and then becomes a spree killer, but only against assholes. Could make a whole movie just discussing what it means to be an asshole. Or how Frank puts it, how you determine how someone deserves to die. My love, it's gotta be where he goes to burn the girl alive in her car, which is not safe. Do not try this at home, kids. But he stuffs a rag into the car in the fuel spot. He throws some lighter fluid on there, hits it with a lighter, and takes off. And he turns around to watch his work, and sure enough, the rag's blown away, and he goes over and he tries to pick it up. It sets a tone for the movie. And it kind of examples him as a character, because he's the guy that always gets the short end of the stick, and this is just one more thing. My hate, it's got to be the special guy. I really wish they hadn't used him as the driving force in a lot of this. I think one of the writers just kind of has a beef with the whole idea, and I do too, but it's not the person I would want to use to streamline this movie. Steven, who is the not-so-special guy, because he's rather cognitive when you come down to it, he's used as a mechanic in the story. He's a driving force for Frank, and it helps culminate the third act. I almost wish they had mixed it up and put like a live anchor person there who has to report his own situation. Now for MVP, Joel Murray and Tara Barr both did an outstanding job. And even though Frank, played by Joel Murray, is our main character, our main protagonist, I have to give it up to Tara Barr with her portrayal of Roxy. Roxy is what ties this all together. Without her interference, without the chaos she brings to the mix, the story ends with Frank's gun in his mouth. It's not very interesting. It doesn't make the right statement. In fact, they explain why she's there. She gives the explanation in the hotel. It's all about the perception of the story. Where Frank's story would have ended, would have labeled him as some creeper stalker guy, instead of letting his voice be heard and show that he's making a stance and what he's dying for. Now, I'm not advocating people going around shooting each other, but Frank had a very well-intended message and had no idea how to let that out in any way that would make a difference. Which is why this is a movie, because that's a true thing that people deal with every day. The bureaucracy and the nonsense enforces the existing status quo. It doesn't allow for change very well at all, let alone on such a massive individual level. So Roxy is my MVP for this because she ties it all together, and Tara Barr did an excellent job with her. And it's not just because I think Tara Barr is incredibly attractive. Let's go to the categories. Aesthetics. The movie looks fine. There's nothing really wrong with it. They lined up a lot of good scenes. They got the cool car for them to drive around in. It's all fine. What makes this movie outstanding as far as looks go are just little moments. Like where Roxy's killing Chloe's mom. It's a very iconic, memorable scene because it's her first kill, especially her first kill with Frank, as part of this new philosophy on life. This movie makes good use of the little moments, and I appreciate every one of them. With that said, nothing was great. Aesthetics gets an 85. Character development. Now, they did a lot of heavy-handed monologuing and inner dialogue and a lot of stuff normally you trudge through unless you're reading a book, because for some reason a book tends to make that a lot easier to take in. When you're watching a movie, you don't normally want to sit there and hear backstory and nonsense, but I found it to go through very smoothly. Some of the scenes are a little gory, but I think it worked because they were trying to display what you want to do even though you're not doing it, and then it sets it up for later. Now, despite Roxy being a liar, her character gets developed very well, and she adapts into this lifestyle that they've created together excellently. Unfortunately, they're really the only characters that get developed other than maybe Steven. Everyone else is just kind of a dick that gets shot or an innocent bystander. Though they did do an excellent job with the family at the beginning, I will say that. Character development gets an 85. Storyline. Now, I already expressed my grief with the story. It's not the story exactly I would want, but it's a fairly good story. And just when you really think that it's getting a little bit aimless and they're just kind of going around being murderers, they throw in little stops where they have discussions, and the most important being of which is France. This is just kind of where the only weak point is. Storyline gets an 8. Compulsion. I laughed out loud so hard at some of these scenes. I was so happy with this movie, and while I don't enjoy violence for violence sake, I think it uses a very good mechanic to try to express the insanity of the situation. And how, if you want to be taken seriously, you can't slap at everybody who annoys you. Like Frank and Roxy discuss again, about who deserves to die. How you determine that. Compulsion for me gets a 90. If we total all that up, we get an average of 85. Almost like somebody took another shot at Super. Frank, like Frank from Super, is not a hero, and he has a young female sidekick, which they blatantly poke fun at in this. You play with the Lolita card and young female romance all you want. I'm not talking about that right now. For my wrap-up review, I'd say this is a great movie. I'd recommend everybody see it at least once. While there is some blood and violence, and if you're not down with that, I get it, it's cool, have a nice day. But if you're not against any of that, you'll get to see a great messed up, crazy movie. Or you may even see the messages that this movie holds. What the writers and movie makers are trying to express through this art. People suffer from their sense of entitlement, complacency, super egotism. It's a fact that people will do whatever they can get away with to better their own interests. And not enough people have everyone else's interests in mind with their own. Most people are just wild animals with tools. And this movie makes you want to do something about it. Even though this movie is ultimately a tragedy, I'm with our protagonist all the way up to the end. I think that's it for me. Practice safe gun control. I'm Cameron. Have a nice day.